You're listening to The Gabby Gordon Show. New to the community? Head to GabbyGordonShow.com today. Sign up for the mailing list for exclusive Q&As, conversations, and special surprises. Send in sports-related voice messages, including all questions, through our website to be featured in a future episode. Once again, that's GabbyGordonShow.com. GabbyGordon show.com. Let's kick off today's episode.
What is going on, sports fans, and welcome to the Gabby Gordon Show. My name is Gabby Gordon, welcoming you in on this beautiful Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. The NFL Super Wildcard Weekend has come to a close, and it is a beautiful thing as we progress into the next week or so of the NFL. Lots of questions throughout the league, coaches, players, teams as a whole, organizational questions running rampant. The time is now for football. I'm so honored, truly honored to have you joining me today. We'll get to it all. We'll get to the recap of the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend, as well as what some of these teams' questions have to do with for the future. The teams sitting on the couch now, headed into the divisional round. Lots of questions for some of these teams. We'll get to that. We'll get to Jim Harbaugh interviewing with the LA Chargers. Questions about Bill Belichick. What is he going to do in the future? Will we hear something in the coming weeks? Nick Sirianni, what is going on in Philly? How did that implosion go down? All of that and more on the Gabby Gordon Show, starting right now. I gotta be real with you guys here, though. Like, every single one of these matchups, except for, like, the Rams-Detroit Lions game, were blowouts and sucked. Like, they sucked. And I don't know if that was just, like, weather conditions for some teams. I know the weather wasn't great in Buffalo. The weather was not great in Kansas City. Buffalo was, like, a mess. Absolute mess. But, if you see the picture of the snow, they had the people shoveling, and they were told, do not shovel the seats, shovel the walkways. And so there's a video of this guy and his kid, and they are literally just trudging through the snow. That's a fan. That's a fan. The Buffalo Bills obviously won that game. Not really close, but a lot of again, not that close. A lot of these games were blowouts, and it's like, I hope we see better in this divisional round this upcoming weekend. Now we are narrowing it down to the best teams in the business. Wildcard weekend is a weekend of surprises and a weekend where it's really anybody's game. It's the wild card. All these teams are fairly even in making it to this point. Now we've got the big dogs playing this upcoming weekend in the San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens. So I think we're going to see some more competitive games this upcoming weekend. But man, like, blowouts. Like, not even fun to watch. Confusing blowouts, too, which we'll get to. But, like, that was the theme of this wild card weekend. And, of course, yesterday's game, Monday, which, it was just blowouts left and right. So we're going to talk about it. So just the quick score recap, just to remind you of the games, because it's going by so fast already. Saturday's game, we had C.J. Stroud taking on Joe Flacco, and C.J. Stroud was a dog. Like, honestly, he deserves a round of applause from all sides of football, because not only did a lot of people bet against him his rookie year, it's the Texans' rookie head coach as well, in DeMeco Ryans, a young team. They got the job done, and it wasn't even close. 45-14. Joe Flacco had a rough day. You can't bet against Joe Flacco any day, because we've seen what he was able to do to get to this point to begin with. But these Texans came out and they worked for it, and it was incredible to see what C.J. Stroud was able to do, just flinging that ball downfield like nothing. Just a flick of the wrist and that thing was going. And he got that win pretty easily and just kept pouring it on as the game went on. And Texans get themselves a spot in the divisional round. Then, of course, the next Saturday game was Dolphins at Chiefs. Arrowhead Stadium was freezing. Absolutely freezing. It was Probably miserable if you went to the game, but truly, truly freezing. And Dolphins fell short, as they have continued to do. They fell short. We know Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins' record when it is freezing, it ain't good. And it just continued to tell the story in that game. The Chiefs didn't even play that clean of a game, to be honest with you. Look, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have not connected in a couple weeks now. He's making uncharacteristic drops left and right. He's still an absolute dog in his position, but it was other guys that needed to be relied on for this game. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, and he made it happen. 26-7 was your final in Arrowhead on Saturday night, but the Dolphins just continued to plummet downward and unravel as the season came to a close, and we're not able to turn it back around. So now there's a lot of questions surrounding the future of Tua on the Dolphins, surrounding the future of Mike McDaniel, who can he make a playoff winning team? It's been great to see what he's done this year so far, but when it mattered most, they couldn't get the job done. That was the story of the end of their regular season into last weekend's game. So interesting future decisions there for them. The question really has been, should they give Tua another chance? I believe absolutely Tua deserves another chance. It's kind of like a one-and-done situation now. If he sucks next year, then it's time to move on. But Tua Tagovailoa is still Tua Tagovailoa, and he's got great talent when he uses it properly. Now, his arm isn't as strong, but he makes up for it in what he can do with his legs and the placement of the football. And him and Tyreek Hill, that's like a duo. So we'll see if that duo can stick into next season. But obviously, only putting up 7 points against the Chiefs is never going to give you enough to beat the Chiefs, because the Andy Reid-led team, it overpowers most teams when you cannot put up a clean performance. So with all that, Dolphins drop, they're eliminated, Chiefs move on. That whole Kyle Juszczyk's wife, Christian Juszczyk, making the jacket for Brittany Mahomes, Taylor Swift. Awesome moment, though. And those jackets were fire. They were phenomenal. Like, truly. Like, I would want one for my Green Bay Packers, who we're going to have fun with today. But truly, truly, honest, like just a great jacket design. And the best part of that whole thing, if you look on, every single social media post about those jackets, Kyle Juszczyk hyping his wife up was the best thing I had seen all day. People commenting, and he's just responding like, that's my wife, she did that. Someone replied to him and said, your girl do this? And he's like, yes, she did, with 3 exclamation points. Everybody needs a man to hype you up like that. Truly. Now I need to be hyped up like that. Someone needs to hype me up like that. Go hype me up in the comments right now, because that was the cutest thing I had seen all day. And those jackets were awesome. Truly awesome. Taylor Swift looked great. Brittany Mahomes looked great. And I think those jackets brought the vibe into Arrowhead. You could see, they were dancing in the stands. It was a good time despite the freezing below zero temperatures. Awesome day in Arrowhead. Sunday. Sunday, January 14th was a fun one. Fun one for me. The 9-8 Packers came into Dallas and stomped on Mike McCarthy. Possibly fired Mike McCarthy twice. Once when he was a Green Bay head coach, and could potentially have gotten him fired now. Insanity. That first drive, I'm sitting there like, damn, we look good. Not we, because what do? I sit there and watch. But damn, they look good. Jordan Love looked calm. He looked prepared from the moment he stepped on the field for warm-ups. 48 points. Against a good Cowboys defense, too, ran by a usually good defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn. Insanity. Absolute insanity that went down the way it did. Now, granted, the Packers took their foot off the gas and made this one closer than it needed to be. I got a little sweaty in that fourth quarter. 2 potential onside kicks could have been recovered by Dallas. That could have changed the ending of the game. But nonetheless, Joe Barry put up a great performance defensively, which we've seen him struggle sometimes this year. Questions about his future in Green Bay probably solidified his year next year now. And we've still got 1 more game to go. Hopefully 3 more games if we go all the way. Insanity. We talked about C.J. Stroud at the beginning. Jordan Love had almost the exact same line as C.J. Stroud. 2 basically rookies. Obviously, C.J. Stroud's an actual rookie. Jordan Love technically is not, but this was his rookie season. incredible stuff from young players. It's like the young are taking over this league. It's like the tides have shifted, the tides have turned, and so many comparisons from Jordan Love to Aaron Rodgers. You can absolutely see in the way that he plays the game that he studied under Aaron Rodgers for multiple seasons, as he did. Drafted when he was drafted, sitting on the bench for the amount of time he did behind a Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers. And even though they didn't accomplish much in the playoffs, Jordan Love learned a lot, and they looked phenomenal on Sunday. Now, that's not me saying they're going to go all the way here. I think facing the 49ers is going to be a massive challenge. The 49ers, obviously, light years more talented than the Green Bay Packers and where they are right now. But to come into this game with basically house money because you're a 9-8 team and nobody thought you were going to get to the point you were going to get to, Jordan Love proved every hater wrong throughout most of the season. He had his moments, but so does everybody in the league, and they're entitled to some bad games that you need to learn from. But especially being in the position he was, with the young team that he has under his belt to lead, him being young in his first full season as a leader, in that aspect, house money. Coming into this game in Dallas, house money. And what does the future for Dallas and Dak and Mike McCarthy look like? CeeDee Lamb looked off, right? Tony Pollard, I know he scored, but they didn't utilize the run game as much as I think they should have. Aaron Jones went completely insane. 3 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs looked like a star. It gives a lot of hope for Packers fans for the future. I know myself included. We'll get more into detail with that matchup after we get through the rest. But wow. Man, am I having a great week. I did not think we were going to see the Packers moving into the divisional round. Now facing the 49ers, a challenge. And we'll get into those matchups. And is going to be a shaky one. But hey, the world bet against the Cowboys. I bet against the Cowboys. The world bet against the Packers. And who's right in the end? I am. Not to mention 6-0 in my wildcard picks. Just to put that out there for you guys, I got every single matchup correct. Now, not against the spread, just teams in general, but hey, you guys should listen to me more often because clearly I know what I'm talking about, all right? I don't want to toot my own horn here, and I never do that, but, come on now. The night matchup was a phenomenal one as well. The Rams traveling to Ford Field in Detroit. Matt Stafford making his Detroit return. A lot of fans booed him when he came out on the field for the first time. Apparently they booed his kids too. That's just not right. Come on, Lions fans, know where you came from. That's what the saying is. It's Tim McGraw says this in his song Humble and Kind. Love this song, by the way. When you get where you're going, don't forget to turn back around. I think Lions fans, of course, have bad blood with Matt Stafford, but we got to remember, this was a trade. He didn't leave you guys. This was a trade. Flat-out trade between Jordan Love. Jesus. I'm so high on the Packers right now, you don't understand. Between Matt Stafford and Jared Goff, it was a blockbuster trade. And so Lions fans have no right to boo him. He made the city what the city was. He was the best quarterback in franchise history. And although they didn't win with him, they had some tough years with him. He didn't win a Super Bowl in Detroit, and he won one in L.A. He got you guys started. And I just don't like that he was booed. I understand it, and his response to being booed was great. He understands playoff game. It's a business. It's the fans. It's in Ford Field. They're going to back up their guy, Jared Goff, who had a wonderful performance and performed when it mattered. And Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer, guys. That's how it's going to be. He's got a Super Bowl. He's operating with a playoff team right now still, even though they fell short. Still a playoff team, playoff talent, and I cannot wait to see what he and Puka Nacua can put together in the years to come. Obviously, tight end Tyler Higbee tore his ACL, and that hit, I think that was a dirty hit there. But a lot of future questions there, for sure, for Sean McVay, that team as a whole. But nonetheless, they are a playoff contending team the way they are right now. Finished 10-7, pushed their way through to the wild card, fell short, 24-23. It was our really only close game of the entire wild card slate. Was this game. And it proved to live up to the hype that we all gave it. And, I just don't love how Stafford was booed. Because he's not an arrogant player. He's incredibly humble. And he made Detroit what we know the Lions to be, right? Like, he was their best quarterback in the franchise history. Jared Goff is not living up to that yet. Can he? Absolutely. But, he's only got a couple years under his belt in Detroit, and he's working for a championship now. Dan Campbell as well led the Lions to their first playoff victory for a very long time. So Lions got to remember where they came from, and don't let that karma bite you back in the butt, because it's a big matchup next week for them as well. And then, of course, we had 2 Monday games. We were blessed with 2 of those last night, yesterday afternoon as well. First one was the Steelers at the Bills, and the Bills took that one 31-17. Terrible weather conditions. That's why it was moved to Monday. Terrible weather conditions. Bills got it done. Nothing more you could say there except the Bills got it done. What does the future look like for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh? What does the future look like for the rest of that team? Not having TJ Watt, huge loss. Now I don't know how different this game would have been with him. The Bills were on. The Steelers just weren't quite. Mason Rudolph just wasn't quite. He's poised. He's a decent player, but I don't think he's the future. Josh Allen came through, did what Josh Allen does. It's Bills football. The snowy weather, the freezing temperatures, that's Bills football. That's the way it's played. And I said this last week as well. They had a chance to put a dome over their stadium. They decided not to. Why? Because that is the culture of the Buffalo Bills. Cold, snow, sleet, hail, slush, whatever, grit, determination, plowing through, snow angels in the end zone. That's Bills football. And they wanted it more in this situation. They're a more talented team than Pittsburgh. The fact that Pittsburgh was even in this wild card race to begin with is Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin finishing once again with a winning record. We didn't know if he was going to get to that point midway through the season. So Mike Tomlin is obviously a GOAT on the Steelers. And the things that he's done, obviously he has 1 year left in his contract. A lot of questions to ask. Definitely, for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No means were they disappointing. By no means were they terrible, but the Bills are a better team. And being home in Buffalo with the weather conditions like that, especially when the schedule gets moved, things change around, players are sitting down now for an extra day. You plan all week to play when you plan to play, and then the schedule gets changed. It's like your entire... of course, we got a truck backing up behind me. I love that. Sorry about that. The studio got moved. Okay, I'm back at college now. Studio got moved, so there's some noises around me, but we're making it work, and I appreciate you tuning in through it all. Look, the Bills are a very talented team. That's really all there is to it. A lot of questions, sure, but in the end, it's Josh Allen, and it's Sean McDermott, and it's James Cook, and it's Stephon Diggs. And it's Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid, and it's the entire team that they have, decent defense. It's like the Bills could go a very long way here. Very long way. And they certainly did so last night. Final wildcard weekend matchup. This one was just boring. This game was just boring. The Eagles at the Buccaneers. Raymond James Stadium. What are the Eagles? Putting up 9 points against the 9-8 Bucs. Can I remind you? The Eagles were 10-1 in this season and in this regular season. Now first round exits, finished 11-6. Hey, it's karma. Nick Sirianni said some things after beating the Chiefs. Didn't work out so well. We'll get to the Nick Sirianni conversations in just a little bit because there's a lot of people calling for him to be fired. When you have a coach that puts you at 10-1, all right, 11 games through the season, now you're calling for him to be fired. It's like something imploded. Something imploded, something went wrong. Incredibly wrong. Baker Mayfield looked poised. And good for Baker. He looks so happy in Tampa Bay. Probably the happiest I've ever seen him on a football team. He had his moments with Cleveland. No true success, we'll say. But he has been around the ringer. He has been through different teams, and he has never truly gotten his successful moment. And this was his successful moment, and it's pretty incredible to see him be able to move on. 32 points being put up. They've got a talented team. They really do. Todd Bowles is a talented head coach. And the Eagles fell apart. Probably forced Jason Kelce into retirement as well. That man has been through it with the Eagles. He truly has been through it. And to end this season the way it ended. I truly am eager to hear what he says on his New Heights podcast with Travis Kelce. Obviously, one brother still going, and the other brother's out. Eagles it's disappointing. Not for me. Like, I'm on a high right now. My team is going forward, and it's like, we embarrassed Dallas. We embarrassed Mike McCarthy, baby. Like, I couldn't be happier. But Eagles fans, like, I feel for you because you just don't know what went wrong. And I can't tell you what went wrong because nobody truly knows. Like, I still am banking on the fact that we're going to find out information in the coming weeks that something happened in that locker room that just ruined the vibe with everything. They looked tired. They looked like they didn't want to be there. It was just like Jalen Hurts, he imploded. They imploded. And I don't know truly what was the cause of that because they're a very talented football team. And I guarantee you something happened that we didn't hear about that they hid very well. And we're not hearing the whole story. And we are going to hear the whole story very soon. So questions there, of course. But that was the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend slate. Congratulations to all the teams moving on. And to all the teams going back home, sitting on the couch, maybe going to Cancun for the getaway to reset the mind. Look, all these guys that made it in, talented players. All these teams, talented. A lot of things are going to change for some of these teams in the coming weeks in this offseason. We could be looking at some different teams, some different head coaches for sure, potentially. But let's not dwell on it. Glass half full. Let's move on. So what I did want to talk about, and that I briefly talked about, was Mike Tomlin with the Steelers. He's got one more year left in his contract, and look, if you bring that up to Mike Tomlin, he might punch you in the face, okay? After losing to the Buffalo Bills last night, the Pittsburgh Steelers coach walked off the podium in the visitors' interview room at Highmark Stadium when he was asked a question that began, Mike, you have a year left on your contract. And he did not want to be engaged in that. Look, he was bummed out, okay? To lose a game the way they lose it, like it wasn't even a close game. They kind of got embarrassed. And it was the Bills. And they knew it was going to be a tough matchup coming in. But Mike Tomlin was not happy about it. And he walked right out of that interview room. Right out of it. He is under contract for the 2024 season. But his future with the organization after an NFL record 17 consecutive non-losing seasons, which is incredible, as the head coach, has been the subject of some speculation lately. Now, what has he won in Pittsburgh? What has he won? He's got 2 Super Bowls under his belt, one as an assistant for Tampa Bay, and the other as a Steelers head coach. So he has 1 Super Bowl in Pittsburgh, and having 17 consecutive non-losing seasons is just insanity. To be able to accomplish that with different teams, of course, like once that Ben Roethlisberger era ended, and of course Ben Roethlisberger was not all that in his final seasons, and there was a lot of speculation there as well. It's like they've been through it this year with the quarterback thing. Losing TJ Watt in this game was massive. I don't know how much of that would have altered the outcome of this game, but losing TJ Watt, it was like, damn, like they're in for a real treat now because you've got James Cook, who just knocks over defenders, and you've got Josh Allen with the talent and the tush push, and you got Stephon Diggs downfield, and you've got all this talent in the tight end position with Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. Knox scored a touchdown. Kincaid, very, very productive when you needed it most. It's like they knew what they were walking into. They were probably walking in to a massive fight that they weren't going to win, and I'm sure Mike Tomlin knew that the more talented team was in Buffalo, but that's not to say that he hasn't done great things with Pittsburgh. Now, as he has done at the conclusion of previous seasons, he is expected to discuss his future with his family and Steelers owner Art Rooney II as the organization enters the offseason. He's 51. I'm sure he still has a ton of coaching left in him. It just depends, is it going to be in Pittsburgh? And again, like you look mid-season with the Pittsburgh Steelers this regular season, it's like, would they have even been lucky enough to get over 500? They went through a tumultuous season that had some serious, unusual midseason situations, fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada, significant injuries to Hayward, quarterback Kenny Pickett, star safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, 2 starting inside linebackers. It's like Mike Tomlin faced a lot of adversity to still be able to get them to this point in which they finished 10-7, and to put them in this wild card position, even though they didn't get the job done yesterday. It's like that was massive. And then under his leadership, the Steelers were able to right the ship following a 3-game losing streak to earn the number 7 seed in the AFC. They inserted Mason Rudolph at the starting quarterback position, which a lot of questions about Mason Rudolph, what he would have been capable of. Mike Tomlin believed in him the whole way, and they won 3 straight games to close the regular season. Obviously, again, not able to get it done against Buffalo. Steelers dug themselves into a 21-0 hole in the first half, largely the result of some defensive miscues, 2 turnovers. Again, the talent lies mostly within Buffalo in this matchup. And with situations where, like, you're losing your quarterback, you lose star safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's a dog, you lose Hayward, 2 inside linebackers, to be able to get to that point, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers were riding with house money. Tomlin certainly was. I don't think many other coaches in this league can turn around what Tomlin turned around with the amount of adversity that was faced in this season. Now, sure, could they finish with a winning record? Absolutely, but to make it to the playoffs and to put out a fight, even though you lost the fight, that is a respectable leadership role from Mike Tomlin. So by no means, if he leaves, would he be unable to get a job. If they part ways, would he not be able to get a job? He'd be one of the top candidates, if not the top, behind Bill Belichick. Do I think he will stay in Pittsburgh? Absolutely. Do I think there's really any questions right now about his future in Pittsburgh? No. But there does need to be some decisions made in the offseason on how to turn this team around talent-wise and figure out the quarterback situation and figure out some other things too. This group is not functional without Mike Tomlin. They are so far from functional without his leadership, and you can see it in plain sight by just looking at what they went through this season and to be able to still make the wild card. So Mike Tomlin did an excellent job. This is Mike Tomlin, however, walking off the podium mid-question about his contract and his future in Pittsburgh.
Throwing that interception.
I thought he was solid. I thought he was competitive. I thought his confidence was unshakable. I thought he, displayed the things that he displayed really for the last month or so.
Anyone?
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
So yeah, obviously not happy with that question. Was that question needed, right after a really tough loss against the Bills? Probably not. Media need to do a little bit better with the timing, some social cues, but it's a valid question. The league is wondering. The timing maybe wasn't great on the delivery of the question, but there is that question, 1 year left in his contract. The Steelers as a whole have 20 consecutive non-losing seasons, and again, 17 of those come under Mike Tomlin. And that team has changed a ton through those 17 straight seasons. 17 seasons ago, we saw a very different Steelers team than we do now. And to be able to be consistent through it all and to make the playoffs through most of it and to have a winning season through it all is incredible. And Mike Tomlin deserves all the praise because that team is nothing without him. And the moment he leaves, it's a very different Pittsburgh team if he ever leaves. The moment he retires or the moment he gets fired. I have no idea how it's going to play out. I doubt he would ever be fired, but we could see a parting ways discussion within this next year after his contract is up. I think he's got a lot more coaching in him. He's young for a coach, 51. You got Bill Belichick in his 70s here, and he's pushing for more wherever that's going to be. But Mike Tomlin, he's the guy. And it's a valid question to be asked. With 1 year left on the contract, what does the future look like? And that's a question for a lot of teams, not just the Pittsburgh Steelers. What does the future look like? And that question may not be answered for quite some time in Pittsburgh. You want to move to Philly? Let's move to Philly, because we got some Philly frauds going on right now. Okay, they are the Philadelphia frauds. Bye, Eagles, bye. I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. You're an Eagles fan. Obviously you are disgusted with the performance that was put out there last night against the Buccaneers. But are you surprised? Because I'm, not surprised at all, actually. And it's the very reason I took the Bucs to win this game. I didn't really think it was going to be a competitive game to begin with. Why am I supposed to think the Eagles turn things around when they haven't done it in the last, 4 games of the regular season? Completely imploded. And I think a ton of that has to do with Nick Sirianni. Look, I know we talked about the whole A.J. Brown speaking out on his coach, saying it's not his coach's fault, it's the players' fault. But, at some point, you got to take accountability. And at some point, it's your coach may suck. Obviously, he's not. He's a talented coach. He made them 10-1. Their start to the season was phenomenal. People talking about Super Bowl runs for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now Philadelphia frauds. It's how does something implode that quickly, that deeply like that? I think it's karma, and here's why. That man, with those arrogant comments, may very well ruined the Eagles' chances of ever making it past anything, okay? Arrowhead Stadium, yelling that. Don't forget who you are, Nick Sirianni. You haven't proved a ton yet, all right? And he had a very talented team at that time, and it was a huge road win over Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. Probably more talented than the Eagles, let me tell you, but the Eagles were getting it done. And arrogance, cockiness, being a douche, it's going to come back to bite you, and I think that's exactly what happened to Nick Sirianni. It's the way of the world, and somehow people find a way to get what's coming for them. And it happens at the worst moments, at the worst times, and that was the downfall of the Philadelphia Eagles. And it might very well be Nick Sirianni's fault as to why Jason Kelce is retiring. Now, of course, he probably had this retirement planned. I mean, he has been a vet in this league, but the only way it could have been fair for Jason Kelce to end his phenomenal career in Philadelphia would have been with a ring. And it looked very, very likely, and it's what happened? And I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it all begins with your head coach, Nick Sirianni, and he is a cocky man who hopefully got humbled in these last couple of weeks. I don't know what his future looks like, but if he was the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, I think I would. I don't even know what I would do, because it's one thing to be able to talk the talk, but when you can't walk the walk after you talk that talk, it's you're a fraud. And he's got a team of a bunch of frauds. And he's got a team with a ton of talent, which makes it even sadder as an outside football fan. I do not like the Eagles. And I think a big reason of that is because Sirianni let them Chiefs fans hear it, and he heard it in the end, right? I mean, what team is still plowing through the NFL right now? Not the Eagles. Chiefs are. They made it past this wild card round. They're going into the divisional round. So you got no place to talk anymore, and you just got silenced. Just completely silenced by a Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers. Jalen Hurts, light years more talented than Baker Mayfield. Just the facts. A.J. Brown, obviously injured, talented. That entire team, very talented. It is so disappointing to see how they've ended this. I don't like the Eagles, but I like Eagles players, and I like talented players who are humble. First off, if you take Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and put them together, they are two completely different people. There's no way in the world I can believe that Jalen Hurts truly has respect for Nick Sirianni after the things that he has done in his coaching career in Philadelphia. Especially words that he said leaving Arrowhead Stadium in that clip. There's a moment of Nick Sirianni talking trash on the field and Jalen Hurts pulling him back coach, be better. It should be the other way around. I think that's a big reason as to why we're in the situation we're in if you're an Eagles fan. It's that's the problem. Problem lies within the head coach, and not many people want to talk about that. You want to blame it on players, you want to blame it on Jalen Hurts, that's fine. It's Nick Sirianni all the way, baby. He is the problem. And I guarantee you he's not going anywhere because he still has a talented team to work with. It's he is the issue. This is what he had to say following the loss last night.
Obviously, we were in a big slide, and anytime that's the case, I always look at myself first, and I didn't do a good enough job. And obviously we lost 5 of the last 6 and lost today. And it's almost like you couldn't get out of the rut we couldn't get out the rut we're in, and that's all of us. We'll all have to look ourselves in the mirror and accept that, and just find answers, find solutions. But obviously, when you start 10-1. And then you get into what happened for us. Obviously, that the expectations were high. Expectations were even higher when we started off 10-1, and we fell into a skid. So I'll look at everything. I'll look at, obviously the play calling. I'll look at the scheme. I'll look at practices. I'll look at everything that we're doing.
What we also have to talk about here is like the stupidity of the Eagles, which we spoke about a couple weeks ago when they took the play calling away from Sean Desai, defensive coordinator, handed it to Matt Patricia with nothing to show for a defense that could not stop the run or rush the passer the way it did 1 year ago. In the slightest. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles defense, under Matt Patricia, when we heard of that move, it was like, why are the Eagles in panic mode right now? They got 10 wins on the year. They have basically clinched a playoff spot already with a lot to go still. Why are they in panic mode? It didn't make sense. None of it made sense. None of it continues to make sense. We are missing a puzzle piece here. Like, there is something serious that happened in that locker room. I believe it. I absolutely believe something went down in that locker room. I think it all lies with Nick Sirianni. His players back him because that's the type of guys they are. They're humble, they're respectful, and that's their head coach. They got to respect him. That's the hierarchy of the NFL. You got to respect your head coach. But something went down, and from the moment of these from these coordinating moves, it was a panic mode for Philadelphia where it didn't need to be, and it has compromised this team for the rest of the year. Plus, like, to the NFL, like, it was working under Sean Desai, defensive coordinator. Like, why are you taking the defensive play calling away from him and moving it to Matt Patricia, and then that's just, you implode defensively. Any day you're letting up over 20 points to the New York Giants or dropping to the Arizona Cardinals, it's like, yeah, maybe your offense wasn't on completely, but your defense should not have had a problem with those two teams. And that is a Matt Patricia defense, and he could not stop the run or rush the passer in any way, shape, or form the way we saw compared to last year when they made it into the Super Bowl. Obviously, they lost the Super Bowl, but you make it there, that's a huge accomplishment. And they weren't that different of a team. Very talented. Jalen Hurts, like, in the MVP conversations at the beginning of the season. Like, what's going on in Philly? Just doesn't make any sense. It stumps me to my core. And Eagles fans, I'm sure, as well. It's like now it's a true panic mode. Like, what the hell do they do now? Are they out with Nick Sirianni? Is he going to get fired and booted? Like, what does that look like? Matt Patricia? Like, he's got to be booted, right? Like, what do you do if you are the Philadelphia Eagles? So many questions and a complete and utter downfall in just a few weeks. It was literally the most colossal collapse in Philadelphia sports history. And, hey, you're a Giants fan. You're having a hell of a week so far. Cowboys and Eagles got embarrassed. Right? It's like, damn, like, couldn't ask for better if you were a New York Giants fan or a New York sports fan. But it's like, Philadelphia sports, implosion. Dallas Cowboys, implosion. Like, damn. I don't know what to do, and luckily I don't have to care about the Philadelphia Eagles, so it's like you just figure it out. But there's a lot to figure out here. A guy that I do enjoy watching in Philadelphia, Jason Kelce. I mean, obviously not the way you wanted to end that. I believe he deserved a ring in his final season, or what we thought to be his final season. Now does seem like it was his final game in Raymond James Stadium. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, future Hall of Famer and Eagles center Jason Kelce told his teammates he will be retiring, league sources told ESPN. Kelce's considered to be one of the best centers in NFL history. Reportedly made the announcement in the locker room after the loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Adam Schefter of ESPN also said it on a post on X, formerly known as Twitter. And the Associated Press also reported the news, as well as NFL Network's Mike Garafolo. So Kelsey declined to answer any questions in the locker room about his future. He said, not today. Totally understandable, especially with the disappointing loss, disappointing season. I'm very eager to see what he says on the New Heights podcast, his podcast with his brother, Travis Kelsey, who's obviously still going through the playoffs. Kelsey played the 2023 season on a one-year contract. He's set to become a free agent in March. He's the fifth center in NFL history with at least 6 All-Pro selections. The other 4 are all in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jason Kelsey, obviously a future Hall of Famer in himself, and he's considered one of the most important players in the Philadelphia tush-push play. Seems like Philly invented it. Kelsey leads the way for Jalen Hurts and their pushing teammates. That is a highly effective play on short yardage plays like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. The tush-push, we know it to be, really originated in Philly. And his apparent retirement comes after the Eagles dropped 6 of their last 7 games after starting the season 10-1. Last season, they lost a last-second thriller to the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Brother versus brother. I remember Mama Kelsey with her half-and-half jacket. That was nice. He's also named one of the People's Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive. All right? Sexiest Man Alive, Jason Kelsey. And has been a successful advertising figure. He's pitched products like Campbell's Soup, Tide Laundry Detergent. He's also been closely associated with his brother and podcast partner, tight end Travis Kelsey, better known now as the boyfriend of Taylor Swift. So, I mean, it's sad to see a career come to an end, announced it to his teammates. Legendary, Jason Kelsey. Absolutely legendary, and I will keep an eye out for what he says on his podcast, anything interesting, and the official retirement announcement, which we will get when we get it. Obviously, he needs to take the time to kind of process the loss, process what happened this season, the implosion. There was a moment of Nick Sirianni kind of hugging a crying and emotional Jason Kelsey after the end of the game. It's kind of like, wow, like this is my last snap. This is my last football game. Like, this is it. And we'll never understand what that feeling is like because we've never played in the NFL and we've never played sports for a living. And I'm sure it is a crappy feeling what Jason Kelsey's going through right now, but he gets to hold on to the fact that he has done incredible things, reached incredible feats, and made an impact on the league. So again, no official statement from Jason Kelsey. He declined to answer any questions in the locker room about his future in the league, but he did reportedly make the announcement to his teammates. So once again, future Hall of Famer, Philadelphia Eagles center, Jason Kelsey. If you could see the smile on my face right now as we get to talk about the Green Bay Packers ignoring the doubters, every single person betting against this team, and rightfully so. Like, you came into this matchup, even I came in this matchup being like, this is going to be a tough one. Dallas at home, in the wild card, and it's a young team. It's like, I mean, this would be shocking the world if we could get this done. Of course, I would never bet against my team. I took the Packers in last Friday's show. You could look at it, lock it in segment. It's like, I believed in them. I really did. But I also had my own doubts. And you know what? The Packers look at people like me and say, you know what? We're about to prove you wrong, sis. We're about to prove you wrong. And they did. It was the most excitement and most fun I have had watching a Green Bay Packers playoff game in a long, long time. And that's a lot to say, because when you would watch Aaron Rodgers play, it's like, obviously he's a Hall of Famer. It's like you're always going to be a favorite to win this game because of Aaron Rodgers, but it was the same story every year. You know, you'd finish with the number 1 seed or the MVP quarterback, and then you'd make it past the divisional round only to lose in the NFC Championship. It was the same story, same narrative. 1 Super Bowl win for Rodgers and the Packers, but that was the story. And now it's completely different, and it's like so many opportunities have opened up. They honestly, in a growing league of young players now, especially the talent that we have seen in the playoffs, all young studs who are making a difference, C.J. Stroud, Puka Nacua, Jordan Love, Romeo Doubs, it's like it's the season of young studs. Season of young studs. And the Packers look like the baseline for what the season is going to look in the future for a lot of these teams. Also to note, this is the first time ever that a number 7 seed has won in the wild card round. Packers made history. Number 7 seed beat number 2 seed just the first time in the 4 years of this playoff format. But it literally wasn't even those numbers that spoke to the Packers' attitude. Like, they were not given much of a chance by national experts to win this one. I'm pretty sure I saw only maybe 2 people on the game day morning shows pick the Packers, and they heard all the chatter. I am sure, all over social media. It was like, this is going to be a bloodbath, right? Dallas is going to get an easy win here. They ignored it all, and they embarrassed Dallas, and, like, I couldn't be happier. Like, I literally couldn't be happier. And the funniest part is if someone didn't watch this game, it's like, wow, this was a pretty close game. Pretty close one. Like, no, it wasn't a close game at all. Actually, whenever a young team like the Packers can remove their starters from a game, it's like, damn, you did what you needed to do. 48-32 looks like a back-and-forth game. It looks like a high-scoring, exciting game. It was not at all. Not at all. They were up 27-0 late in the second quarter. Darnell Savage raced the other way with a pick six off Dak Prescott, who looked lost. Dak looked lost. He honestly, I'm sitting there with my dad, and he turns to me after the first interception, and he goes, this was after the Jair Alexander interception. And he goes, Dak's going to throw an interception. I go, he already did. Let's not get too cocky here. My dad's not a Packers fan, but he knows I am. And so we're watching the game. He goes, this is going to be another pick. I go, no shot. Like, you got one out of Dak. This is pretty good. Boom. Darnell Savage, pick six. 27-0. Green Bay leads. If you saw the faces of Cowboys fans in the stands, to sit with my raging Giants fan father, even though he doesn't give 2 craps about the Green Bay Packers, it was like high fives all around. My brother comes in, says, like, also a massive Giants fan, like, yes, keep going. It was like such an incredible vibe. And look, I mean, I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers girl anymore. Like, especially the controversies that he created in Green Bay and all that stuff, like, in the media. I don't got to worry about it anymore because I think the entire world has finally realized that Jordan Love is the future. And it is a phenomenal feeling to not seem insane talking about Jordan Love being the guy, like, just wait, he's going to explode, like, just wait. It happened. And I could not be happier. Like, I know I keep saying that, but, first off, we came into this game with house money. To be able to make it to the wild card with the team that we had, the adversity that was had, house money. I know that's not really a thing in the NFL. Teams don't think of it that way, of course. Like, they come in there and they believe they made it there for a reason, and they surely did, but house money. It's house money, in my opinion. It really is. And that final score did not do this game justice whatsoever. And Jordan Love could not have played any better in his first playoff start. Like, literally incredible. And his line was very similar to that of C.J. Stroud, who also made his first playoff start. Until throwing an incomplete pass with just over 2 minutes left when the Packers were trying to get one last first down. Jordan Love had a maximum 158.3 passer rating. That's obviously would have tied the NFL playoff record. But instead he finished 16 of 21, 272 yards, 3 TDs, and a 157.2 passer rating. That was insanity to witness live. And one huge thing I said in the pregame on Friday's show was, like, when I made my pick, it's like, you have to utilize Aaron Jones. Use your run because your run works. And Aaron Jones, he had a fire inside of him, and it was lit into a massive, massive wildfire. And he, with the 3 touchdowns, it's like, man, I am excited. I am excited to see what this team does against the 49ers next week. Obviously, 49ers are a challenge. And again, the Packers are on the road. It's a challenge. But with the amount of confidence that's probably in that locker room right now, coming off of this win, the way they won it, and the amount of dominance that was displayed on the field on Sunday at AT&T Stadium, it's like there has to be a level of confidence that we haven't seen from this Packers team in a very long time. And hey, confidence can go a very long way. Jordan Love looked spectacular. And if he can keep that same scheme, like, just keep it going. I'm sure the 49ers have scouted them out. They know the insides and out of what this offense was looking like against Dallas on Sunday. But it's like, just keep making it happen and give the ball to Aaron Jones again. And just make it happen. And obviously, Jordan Love has no fear throwing the ball. The amount of confidence that he has displayed in the last couple of weeks, really lighting up when it mattered most, it's like he has no fear. He was just slinging passes up the middle like it meant nothing. I mean, a lot of these guys were wide open. I probably could have hit them too, but that also says a lot about the routes that were called and the scheme that was called, like the Dallas defense all mixed up and just guys who were just beaten over and over again. Romeo Doubs, it was like, when are they going to realize what this guy can do? Luke Musgrave's wide open. It's like, when are they going to realize that, right? And they never did. And the Packers ran away with this one, ignoring the doubters. And I'm just so excited to see what the scheme not only looks like against the 49ers. Very different team, very different caliber type of team. Probably the most talented team in the NFL when fully healthy and fully rocking through. And it's like, how are the Packers going to contain Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel? Like, the entire list can go on and on about their incredible talent. How do you contain that? I'm sure that there's going to be a much larger difficulty, and it's going to need to be a very clean performance offensively, because we know the 49ers are just incredibly capable of pouring it on teams offensively. So it's like, clean game all around. Hey, may make some 49ers fans sweat out there. That's just what I'm saying. Ignore the doubters once again, and I don't want to say anything because obviously 49ers are the 49ers. They're my Super Bowl favorites, okay? But, like, hey, come on now. Jordan Love, the future, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed didn't do much at all, but Bo Melton was in there a little bit. Obviously A.J. Dillon was hurt. He didn't play, but I feel good. Jair Alexander was questionable to play in that game, rolled his ankle in practice in a walkthrough, stepped on another player's foot. He looked fine to me. I'm excited. I really am excited. And you may hate me as a Packers fan, but don't hate what this team has done, because it's special. It's pretty special. And at this point, we're certainly in it with house money. So no pressure here. I'm just looking for a good game. Win or lose, it's like, we got the job done. We really did. And I'm saying we again. I haven't done anything. I've sat on the couch and watched this team and screamed at my television multiple times. They got the job done. And it's pretty fun to watch. To kind of close up the show for today, because we still got an entire week to kind of preview what the next week is going to look like, next weekend, rather, is going to look like for the NFL, and we're still going to get some news. We'll see how these teams kind of stack up. We have a lot to talk about for sure, but this is a big story here. It's still NFL coaching, and it is still going on. And now some of these teams have been eliminated, so we're going to hear even more news, potentially, about the future of some NFL coaches. And we know how many slots have been opened. And you got even in a guy in Jim Harbaugh, who may be coming from college football, just won the national championship. He's being interviewed. Bill Belichick, I'm sure, has got interviews lined up as well. Like, we don't know where he's going. He hasn't announced retirement. So as far as we're concerned, he's continuing this whole coaching thing. Mike Vrabel still needs to find a landing spot. Pete Carroll, obviously, still in the Seahawks organization as an advisor, but like, who is going to take over that role in Seattle? So a lot there to figure out, and there's a lot of information in NFL coaching. There's been a ton of speculation about Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh returning to the NFL. That's been a recurring storyline for almost a decade now. And this question is larger than it's ever been this offseason, of course, leading his alma mater to a national championship a week ago. But now he's got the official decision to make the future about his career. Will he stay in Michigan, run it back? Will he move to the NFL? Well, he's already interviewing with NFL teams. The Chargers completed an interview with him for head coach. The team announced yesterday. This comes after the Chargers fired Brandon Staley after a historic 63-21 loss to the Raiders in Week 15. Obviously, they finished 5-12. Miserable year for Chargers fans and for the Chargers in general. And you've got talent on that team in Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler and all those guys. Like, you have talent in the Chargers organization that you just need a coach to develop it. So he completed an interview there. After a wishy-washy sophomore season for Matt Eberflus, the Bears fans had their fingers crossed that Harbaugh would potentially land in Chicago, but those hopes are gone now. And Bears GM Ryan Poles said in his end-of-year press conference he has not talked to Jim Harbaugh and basically stated he's the coach at Michigan. He's not coming to Chicago. They already announced that they're sticking with Matt Eberflus for the next season. We talked briefly about that on Friday. The Bears believe they have their guy in him, especially by the way he kept the team from crumbling after an 0-4 start to the season. They put up a nice performance when it mattered in the end of the regular season. But, of course, come on. Of course you'd want Jim Harbaugh over Matt Eberflus, and that's off the table. What's exciting here for me is that, anything can happen. We have, interviews being ran in the NFL. Of course, Harbaugh meeting with the Chargers, but there's no guarantee he's leaving college football. He is the coach at Michigan right now. He just won a national championship. J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, Trente Jones all declared for the draft just a few days ago. So those guys will not be returning to Michigan. Going to look like a very different team. Donovan Edwards is returning to Michigan. He obviously went off in the national championship at the running back position, just absolutely running through the defense for the Washington Huskies, and really hadn't been spoken about much this season. He came out when it mattered. Truly did. Jim Harbaugh, is he going to run it back? Is he going to come to the NFL? Does the situation of J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, guys of that caliber declaring for the draft change his mind at all with the team he may have coming in to the next college football season? Those are a lot of huge questions, and we know Jim Harbaugh and the type of coach he is.Maybe a little quirky, some may say, but I feel like a team would thrive off of his energy, off of his personality, and his coaching ability. First and foremost is the thing that you care about most. Of course, a coach's personality is a huge part as to how do the players take to it. Do they respect him? Do they not respect him? How does that work? But I don't think any player would disrespect Jim Harbaugh. I think any player in the NFL would be thrilled, even in college football, would be thrilled to be able to work and play under Jim Harbaugh. So obviously not much to speak upon there, just the news that he has interviewed with the LA Chargers. There are a ton of teams out there who need a head coach. Bill Belichick obviously still on the table as well. I'm sure he's involved in some conversations. No official interviews were announced. Maybe we'll hear about it this week. I could definitely see us hearing about Bill Belichick interviewing with some of these teams that have open head coaching roles right now in the coming days. Exciting times for sports fans, exciting times for football fans, and exciting times for these teams and these fans who have big name coaches on the market who may very well take over your organization. During the Packers-Cowboys game, actually, what was funny to me is that a lot of people tweeting out, Bill Belichick to the Cowboys confirmed. Mike McCarthy, a lot of people think he's going to be booted. He is going to be fired, and it is very likely that will happen. We know Jerry Jones is an impulsive guy. I think the problem starts with Jerry Jones first and foremost. I think a lot of Cowboys fans would agree with that statement. But if Mike McCarthy's out, that is another head coach. So I don't know if he would find a head coaching job anywhere else. I don't think he's all that great. He obviously got fired in Green Bay, and it proved that decision was the right one by the Green Bay front office. Matt LaFleur just brings a different type of energy and vibe, and obviously outcoached Mike McCarthy, no doubt about that whatsoever. I think Mike McCarthy's job is very much in the hot seat right now. What does that mean? Again, if you have another opening, potentially Bill Belichick taking over in Dallas, I don't even know if Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick would be able to coexist with each other. You got two legends like that. So a lot of questions. And again, very exciting time. And I hope we hear from Bill Belichick soon about, what does that look like? Because he's not retiring as far as we're concerned. So we got to keep our eyes out for him too. It's truly exciting times in sports. I'm sure we're going to have MLB news coming up soon. The Yankees made some more signings, not big names, but I'm sure we're going to get some MLB news too. And then, of course, sadly, football is slowly but surely coming to an end. Smile because it happened. Don't cry because it's over, though. And it's not over yet. We're going to see some incredible matchups this upcoming weekend, and we'll get more into the details of those matchups as we get closer to the weekend. We got a lot of time now throughout this week up until Friday to really just lay it all out there. But we're lucky. We're lucky to be sports fans. However you got to the point of being an NFL fan, just a football fan in general, or whatever team you root for, it's like we're lucky to be experiencing it. And I feel for the people who do not follow sports because they don't know what they're missing out on. I know people have different tastes. People have different interests. Some people just cannot sit through a football game and say, yeah, I'm enjoying this. I get it. I really do. But we are living in some great times right now where it's like when you got conversations of Bill Belichick on the move, Jim Harbaugh on the move, Mike Vrabel on the move, Dallas Cowboys humiliated, Philadelphia Eagles implosion, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love, the future of this league. It's like, damn, we're living in great times. We're lucky to be living through it all, and I'm very lucky to have you here with me through these incredible, incredible moments. So I think that's a perfect way to end the day. That rhymed. Just thank you for joining, okay? Like, I'm so flustered with everything that's going on in this league right now. We could honestly we could speak for another 4 hours if we had the time for it. Unfortunately, we do not. Thank you so much for joining me today, being flexible with me. No show yesterday, obviously, moving back into college, getting some stuff done, going after my degree. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me through it all. I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Do want to make a note. The shows have been moved to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day, Monday through Friday now, unless otherwise specified, of course. Used to be 5:30, 6 p.m. now, so look out for that. Half hour back. Gives me a little more time. You know, things change in the schedule. I got a lot going on, but hey, I'm never going to leave you guys high and dry. I really appreciate the community we've been building slowly but surely, and just blessed to do it all with you. So thank you so much for tuning in to The Gabby Gordon Show. My name is Gabby Gordon, wishing you a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. I will catch you all tomorrow. See you next time.